Hey all, and welcome back to Team Sonic Racing. In this part we're going on to the third Grand Prix, so we've got Ice Mountain, Doctor's Mine, we've got Bingo Party, again, great. I'm so excited to have another bingo level, and we've got Market Street, so let's get into this. And so far we've had speed and power characters, and as you can see with the cursor already there from a failed take just now, I am going to be playing as a technique character in the form of the time traveller Silver the Hedgehog. Let's do this. So, first introduced in Sonic 06, obviously. Silver is brought into this game with yet another arbitrary story reason, in that Dodonpa invited him from the future. Somehow he got an invite from the future. I don't know how that works exactly, but you know, it makes me think, if they want to keep using Silver, which it makes sense to, because he has got his own fans and whatnot, at this point they should probably just make it canon that he stays in the present day after one of his quests or something. Just because, you know, if you keep on bringing him back, that was fucking luck right off the bat. But yeah, if you're going to keep bringing him back, you might as well just make it a lot more convenient, because I know Sonic, you're not really going to it for consistent storytelling, but when you're really having to bullshit out your ass every time he shows up, you know, there comes a point where you could just say, you know what, Silver just decided to stay in Sonic's time with his friends, because like, he has a lot more friends in the Sonic timeline's present day than he does in the future, because in the future in 06 we saw that he's a bit of a loner, and he's only really got Blaze, who, you know, in her own form, she's like showing up in this game just without question. So it kind of makes you think that he might as well just settle here. Like, maybe he hasn't got fucking futuristic flying cars and shit, but hey, you can settle down with your friends. Although saying that, the cars in the 06 version of the future aren't flying, they're just getting carried by tornadoes, which is flying in its own way, I guess. But you may have seen just now I did manage to sort of drift over a bit of the snow stuff. The main advantage that I found with the all-around characters, the technical characters, like we're doing here, you can actually just pass across the more difficult terrain without slowing down, which is pretty much like the benefit of using a technique character. Because whereas with the power characters you can break through certain obstacles, and speed characters obviously just go faster. You know, like they're all balancing a way to give them their own advantages. I suppose it depends on your playstyle. Like I mentioned earlier on, I believe I do tend to deviate more towards the speed characters. But you know, like as a second place, I quite like playing as the all-around ones. I keep going to call them all-around. They're technique class in this one. It's from the Mario and Sonic games where they refer to the middle class as all-around. Fuck you, Blaze. That is so satisfying when you manage to actually pull it off. It doesn't happen all the time, like especially with rockets, which can go flying off into nowhere. But it's so cathartic when it works. It's kind of like the green shells from Mario Kart in that respect. Oh fuck. Getting knocked around all over the place here. I should probably try and stop doing that. One thing I've noticed from this particular course, and this shows up a few times in other courses as well, is it may just be the PC version, it may just be the graphic settings that I have on, but the shaders are a little bit funky here. Now, sometimes you'll notice you get a bit of that scan line shit going on, particularly when the lighting's getting a bit more intense, and I would imagine you could probably fix that by fucking around. It doesn't seem like the sort of thing that someone will just leave in the game like this. Let's see, did my team pull me back? I may be in second here. But like, it's something that I do notice, and it doesn't affect the gameplay, so I haven't been too worried about it. I haven't gone looking for mods, although there are some mods out there now for this. Like, there seems to be a just general patch-up kind of mod out there, I forget what it's called, but one that cleans things up a little bit around the edges, which I don't have installed. I just thought for the sake of the playthrough and just playing it how it is, I would just play it as they give it to me. Not against using mods in playthroughs and whatnot. Like sometimes when I do PC stuff for FC playthroughs, I do dig into the INI files for certain games, especially if there's like a frame rate cap, which I would rather not have to deal with. But for this, it's an out of the box playthrough. And that does mean that one of the little irritating things, which a good handful of games do that I wish they didn't, is I do have the cursor showing up on screen, which you won't see in the video, but like because I'm cropping it out. But I just think it's a good bit of I don't know what the word for it is, just a bit like polish, I guess. But if the game detects that you're using a controller like I am here, then it should just hide the mouse cursor until you move the mouse again. A lot of games do that these days, but then there's games like this as an example where it doesn't. And also I've been recording Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 for the FC Playthroughs channel recently, and that has the same problem. It's no big deal for me when I'm recording. If I put the cursor in the very corner, then I can crop it out without it causing any problems. But yeah, no. It's just if you're trying to immerse yourself in the game and you've got a controller set up so you shouldn't have to worry about this kind of thing and it still shows up, then, it can be an issue. God, I'm fucking up. I've noticed with this playthrough so far, because I've been editing the first two parts lately, that I have this tendency of just going on these long tangents and then it's fucking up in the game that just draws my attention back to it. So in a way, me fucking up is helping bring you more relevant commentary. That's bullshit and everyone knows it. But yeah, this is one of the Planet Wisp tracks, as you can see. And Planet Wisp is the obvious pick from Sonic Colors, given they used Starlight Carnival last time. And I think it looks quite pretty here. We've already had some Planet Wisp tracks, like we had the Mother's Canyon track last time. That's the thing, they do reuse the different areas in this game, which they didn't in All Stars Racing Transformed, which is another thing that makes me think that this didn't have as many resources dedicated to it. I don't know whether it's a budget thing or whether they were given a shorter deadline or a combination of both. But it's one thing where it does show that this isn't quite as a grand production as All Stars Racing Transformed was. I will say, the comparisons are natural, they're going to happen, because they're two games of the same genre, in the same series, made by the same developers, released one after the other. You're gonna instantly compare which one's the better one, and when you're directly comparing them, then All Stars Racing Transformed is obviously the cleaner game. It's got less parts that are rough around the edges, it's got a lot more track variety. It feels a lot more polished. Whereas this, it feels like it's got a few shortcomings. And that's not to write this game off. Obviously, you can tell from me putting the time into this, I'm enjoying this a lot. I do really like this game for what it is. It's just very much in All Stars Racing Transform's shadow. Fuck. I didn't like the cube wisp in colours, and I don't like it when it spawns in front of me here. The wisp itself in colours, it was very much one of the far more situational wisps, whereas you had things like the spike, which doubles up as a spin dash, or you had what other ones did you have? You had rocket, which I suppose rocket's sort of situational, but you could also use it to get to higher routes to correct mistakes and that. Then you had the drill wisp. The drill wisp one was probably the most versatile wisp, because not only can you dig underground with it, but you can also use it to speed you up in water. And so that made Aquarium Park that much cooler. Fuck. I sometimes try and get a bit, clever with the flips. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, like the wisps and colours, like they were a cool little gimmick. They worked much better in colours than they have in a lot of their other appearances. Like in Lost World, when that first came out and they forced you to use the motion controls for some of them, that kind of pissed me off a bit. Then when they patched it so you could just use the controller, at that point they were just like gimmicks that didn't really do much. I think the reason why people were so accepting of them in colours is because out of all the gimmicks that Sega have been toying around with in the Sonic games up to that point, the main series Sonic games, they were the ones that were like the least intrusive. Compare that to, say, the Werehog, or like, as much as everyone likes to rag on Shadow's gun, like, you know, that was something else that it's going to be compared to as just an extra gimmick in the game, although I really like the gunplay in Shadow. It's like one of the strongest points of Shadow to me. But like, it did end up having the gameplay revolve around it, which Sonic Colors with the Wisps, not so much. The Wisps were pretty much just a thing that you could use to move to another route. Like, there were a couple of places where the Wisps were mandatory, but really not all that many, all things considered. That was an absolute shit show of a race. I came 8th, 9th and 10th. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this cup. Like, unless I somehow completely fucking blow it away in the next track, I don't think this is happening for us. Although, actually, we are a little bit close. So let's try and get 1st, 2nd, 3rd in the next race, and we might have some luck. Might. Emphasis on the might there. This is the Sonic Unleashed representation in this game. Obviously, it was gonna be Rooftop Run. It's like the iconic go-to level from Unleashed. Which, I will say, in terms of Unleashed day levels, Rooftop Run is my favourite. I'll say that I have a close 2nd and 3rd to Cool Edge and Dragon Road Day. Like, I like a lot of the day levels in Unleashed, honestly. Like, my beef with Unleashed HD is pretty much entirely the Werehog in terms of the level design and whatnot. My other beef with Unleashed is the fucking medal shit, but that's just more of a grinding thing than the gameplay itself. And I do stand by my opinion that Unleashed Wii is better than Unleashed HD. It's not as fancy as Unleashed HD. It doesn't have the same production value. But what it does do is it fixes up a lot of the grinding shit. The Werehog stages are actually a lot more interesting. They're broken up into more manageable segments. And the individual segments are quite distinct from one another. So it wouldn't be like one 15-minute level which feels very same. It would be like about the same amount of time. You would get like, say, 3 5-minute chunks, but each one of those chunks would be focusing on a different set piece within the larger area, and it would flesh it out a bit more. So the little sub-acts do feel a lot more distinct than, say, in Unleashed HD, where you like Rooftop Run Night, where it'd have all the things, like the different segments where you're like going around the area outside and then you start platforming in the clock tower and whatnot. But it just makes it feel a little bit more manageable to me. Fuck, I wanted that invincibility thing because the invincibility in this game is pretty useful. It just gives you that little bit of a upper on anyone who tries to overtake you. And Eggman, for fuck's sake, get better! Like, I'm doing alright, Big's doing alright, and then you're back there in 8th. And I've sent you a good handful of different items at this point, so pick up the fucking slack, mate. Jesus. Oh, they both have items. That's one thing I do very much get in a habit of, just if I get an item that I can't immediately use, I just instantly press B to pass it back. Which doesn't really do much when they both have items they haven't used yet. Though sometimes it works out that they just use their item and take your one, and it does build up your team meter a little bit more. I was kind of hoping someone would take that before I got the invincibility, but who cares? I got first and Big got second. I didn't actually see where Eggman got 7th. Oh, for fuck's sake, dude. Let's see, was this enough to save me? I'm not convinced, given they got 3rd, 5th and 6th, but let's let this menu slowly play out. Is that? Oh, I got 1 point more! Holy fuck, that's close, but then again, when I had to lose like Eggman on my team, I'll take what I can get. Ladies and gentlemen, join me next time where I'll be going on to the 4th of the Grand Prix. See you then.